Good morning again, everyone. I'm glad you had a few minutes to get yourselves ready. I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce, I think we have our first person who will be doing the honors this evening from the Canadian Business Council of Abu Dhabi, a dear friend of Ways. Could you please take the floor? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone in the UAE and a very good morning to our audience in Canada. My name is Awais Chuktai and I work as a relationship and sales manager at the Canadian Business Council Abu Dhabi. CBC Abu Dhabi is pleased to support today's webinar on the food and agriculture sector opportunities, which is hosted by CBC Dubai Northern Emirates in collaboration with the Dubai Investment Agency, Dubai FDI. And also special thanks to Canada UAE Business Council and Canada Arab Business Council for supporting today's webinar. We are living in challenging times. The outbreak of COVID-19 has been a wake-up call for many countries in terms of food security. With supply chain disruptions, border closures, and restrictions in delivery routes, countries that are reliant on imports are feeling the strain. But the UAE, which imports 85 to 90% of its food, has managed to rise to the challenge, taking significant measures to mitigate disruptions in the supply chain. But from maintaining strategic stocks to increasing local food productions and exploring ways to diversify food import sources, the UAE has maintained a sustainable flow of essential items. In addition, the UAE's strategic location and strong logistics sector are a significant link in the region's food chain. The country has become the world's third largest re-exporter of food items. Before I introduce today's moderator, like Diana mentioned, you will see the pop-up on your screen. I would like to invite everyone to please participate in it if you haven't done so. So today's webinar's moderator is Mr. Norm Jansen, who's the founder and president Jansen Connects. He's based in Calgary, Alberta. Being raised on a mixed farm by immigrants was key in establishing Norm's work ethic and values of honesty and integrity. Norm obtained a bachelor's degree in agriculture from the University of Manitoba and began his career as a sales representative of an agriculture chemical company. The sales experience and training honed Norm's people skills with a focus on customer and in providing service. Norm is an international Nuffield Scholar. This honor was granted to 2 Canadians each year and allowed Norm to travel and study agriculture in Europe, Asia, and Australia. Norm worked for the Departments of Agriculture in Saskatchewan and Alberta in assisting companies making investment decisions to expand through major investments. In this role, Norm has spent time in the UAE to understand the business opportunities for Canadian and UAE companies to work together. Norm and his wife, Catherine, have established their own consulting company, Jansen Connects. Norm is now using his network and skills in a relationship-based approach to assist businesses grow by connecting them to programs, people, and other businesses with compatible values and goals. Without further ado, I hand over the mic to Mr. Norm Jansen. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Awais. It's a pleasure to be with the group here this morning, this afternoon, and this evening as we have a truly global webinar today. It's a pleasure to be with you and to be your moderator today. I think there's a lot of interesting information that we will be gleaning today as we look to how we're going to feed the world, how the UAE was going to play a critical role in a large portion of the world in ensuring that we have food security. As we go through these changing times, we know that and have experienced what a global pandemic can mean, and what we can learn from this is going to be very critical in how we move forward. First of all, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Al Hinton, who is with Dubai FDI. Al is a fellow Canadian who I've known for a large number of years and have spent some time with Al in Dubai, very familiar with the landscape and the various organizations in Dubai that can assist in helping people make decisions as they look to broadening their markets and where they're going to invest in the future to grow their companies. So Al will begin by giving an address that's been recorded from His Excellency Fahd El Garwagi, who Al works for in Dubai FDI.
Thank you, Norm. Thank you very much. Apologies on behalf of Fahad El Gargawi. He's been called away for another engagement, as well as Saad Al Awadi from our Dubai exports team. That being said, we have a very comprehensive program for you. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today as we discuss and explore opportunities for partnership in Dubai's food and agricultural sector and how Canadian businesses and investors can tap into them. We are grateful to the Canadian Business Councils of both Dubai and Abu Dhabi, the Canada Arab Business Council, and the Canada UAE Business Council for helping us to facilitate this webinar series. To give you a comprehensive picture of the opportunities in Dubai's food and agricultural sector, representatives from the Dubai Municipality, Jebel Ali Free Zone, Dubai Multi-Commodity Center will share with you the Dubai advantage in the city's preparedness for inviting investments in the sector. Food security and agricultural self-sufficiency are strategic aims for the government. Dubai and the UAE have made continuous gains in this sector by introducing innovation and best practices in production. Despite obvious challenges related to the region's climate, the UAE's strong network of trade relations, combined with the supply chain advantages of our excellent ports and connected infrastructure, have contributed to food security. With strategically targeted investments and policy, Dubai has strengthened its ecosystem for food production and supply chain efficiency. As a major re-export center, Dubai also maintains excellent facilities for fresh produce. We have also focused on research and development of agricultural technologies to offer a wide variety of crops and yields. This is essential to cater for the needs of a growing population. Dubai's demographic profile ensures that out-of-home consumption and food delivery continue to grow as part of the food sector. This is bolstered by the constantly increasing number of tourists who enjoy our city every year. We expect that the World Expo, which will start next year, will also give the food and food services sector a tremendous boost. Third-party delivery platforms and meal delivery plans have become vital channels. Local franchise partners continue to have strong business prospects, and in fact, new market entrants continue to trust these players to launch their concepts in the UAE. Ladies and gentlemen, overall trade between the UAE and Canada has grown to 2.8 billion Canadian dollars in 2018. Canadian FDI into Dubai has been more than 1 billion Canadian dollars between 2015 and 2018. The UAE is the top trading partner in the Middle East and North Africa region, with more than 150 Canadian brands and over 40,000 Canadians make their home here in Dubai and the UAE. Canada is the UAE's second largest export market in North America. In the agri-food and seafood sectors, Canada became the sixth largest exporter to the UAE in 2019, exporting goods worth 691 million Canadian dollars. Top Canadian exports were canola, lentils, durum and non-durum wheat, and shelled peas. In fact, Canada is the top supplier of canola and among the two top suppliers of wheat in the UAE. With a global reputation of being a diverse, stable, and secure economy, Dubai is a city of the future, providing seamless access to a market of 2.4 million consumers in the Middle East, Africa, South Asia, and the CIS. Dubai is an established gateway to the region for global businesses. With a mature and growing infrastructure, Dubai is a global hub for trade and investment flows. This is the reason that more than 60% of the Fortune 1000 companies have established a presence in Dubai. A robust food and agricultural strategy is essential to counter the effects of international supply chain disruptions of the kind we witnessed during the early parts of the COVID-19 lockdowns. The UAE's resilience in this sector was sharply underlined. The UAE has a national food security strategy, 2051, which aims to achieve zero hunger by ensuring safe access to nutritious and sufficient food all year round throughout the world. It specifically aims to implement resilient agricultural practices that increase productivity and production, which will help maintain ecosystems. One of the key aims of the strategy is to develop international partnerships to diversify food sources. The UAE Sustainable Agricultural System, approved in June of 2020, aims to increase self-sufficiency in crops, optimize returns, encourage investments, and increase the workforce in the agricultural sector. Artificial intelligence, blockchain technologies, smartphone applications are being utilized to benefit the sector. For instance, in the management of insect populations. The food and agricultural sector is shaping up as one of the highly attractive businesses in Dubai, supported by focused and responsive policies. My team and I are at your service to assist you in any way to ensure that you have a seamless investment journey into Dubai. And thank you very much for your time and attendance. Norm, back to you. Norm, you're on mute.
Thanks, Al. Sorry about that. It's great to hear the UAE has developed a strategy, very high and lofty objectives, but the UAE has a history of putting together very high and unbelievable objectives and then over-delivering on them. And so I expect that this is going to move quickly, as most things in the UAE tend to do. And we look forward to being part of that collectively here in Canada and the UAE. Interesting, you talked a little bit about blockchain. A good friend of mine is in the blockchain business and has developed a program that he's worked at. He's spent a number of years, 16 years in Dubai. He's now in Canada working together with food companies here to ensure that we have a track and trace system to ensure food safety and knowing where food is coming from. Thanks, Al. Next, I will introduce Ms. Hassa Al-Sumati, who is with Dubai Municipality. Hassa will talk to us a little bit about food products, registrations, and evaluations, which is an area that she works in the Dubai Municipality. Hassa?
Hello. No, thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Hassa. I'm from Dubai Municipality. I will be presenting all the requirements and regulations from Dubai. Dubai Municipality is the legal local authority which is concerned with food safety and control in Dubai. Food exporters and manufacturers play an important role along with the importers and the food import trade in UAE, in Dubai. So can you move to the next slide, please? Food Safety Department in UAE has 4 different sections, and each has different role. The department covers everything from beginning from audience to trade, for inspection at the market, and issuing permits for kiosk. We manage food trade. Food Safety Department manages food trade through one section called Food Trade section. Anything related to import, re-export, issuing health certificates. This section is managing these kind of import and re-export activities. Second, we have inspection that is conducted routinely in premises and establishments. We have inspections done, routine inspections done in schools and malls for any activities happening in market. To ensure adherence and safety of guidelines. The third section is concerned with the permits. To issue any food-related permits to ensure transparency and accountability. If there is kiosk or activity happening in Dubai, any activity, there should be permits. So we have a section concerned with this one. Fourth one is studies and label compliance. There is a team that conducts risk assessment studies to make sure that the products are following the regulations and requirements of UAE. Next slide, please. Here I can explain to you as a food manufacturer, or if you are willing to export food products to Dubai, what are the steps? There are easy steps that can be followed. Food manufacturer or exporter can deal with any distributor here in UAE that are already established, or directly by obtaining a trade license with a general trade activity or anything related to food activity. After having a UAE trade license, the company needs to register in Dubai municipality's platform in order to be able to use on the all the online services. We have item registration service. Any product, before bringing any product, the exporter or manufacturer, along with the support of the importer here in Dubai, needs to register the food product in our database, just like listing the product in database of Dubai. Fourth step is to assess the label. This service provides remarks before bringing the product. It helps you to get feedback or remarks on the product itself. So if the product is compliant or non-compliant, you will get a feedback and know what is accepted and what is not accepted in Dubai. There are some documents for the first step, fifth step. There are some documents that needs to be submitted along with the shipment. It comes from country of origin, such as health certificate, packing list. For halal products, you need halal certificate. And if there is any statement on the product itself, such as organic, GMO-free, there should be documents that supports these statements. Sixth step is shipment inspection. When the shipment arrives at the port, the inspection is done. In case the entire items are not available, then we have a warehouse inspection service as well. Then after inspection is done, the action is taken depending on the remark of the inspection. Next step. These are some statistics, average number of imported consignments food consignments coming through Dubai ports. We have four units. In airport, we have per month around 12,000 consignments being coming in. In seaports, we have 12,600 consignments. Land ports, which is from Hatta, we have around 6,000 consignments. And the final one is consignment follow-up and DIP, where they have inspection at the warehouse or shipments coming from other municipalities. On average per month, we receive 3,000 consignments. Next. This is the food inspection pathway. First of all, the consignment, how do we deal with it? The consignment arrives through any port, any of the 4 ports we have mentioned. Inspection is done usually at the port. The inspector checks all the documents. There is physical inspection. If samples are required, then it is taken for the sample test. Documents are inspected, products are inspected, every shipment is inspected in Dubai to make sure that it is compliant, the safety and quality regulations are compliant. In case if the product is fully not available at the port, then inspection is done at the company's warehouse. You can choose any time and date that is suitable for you, and an inspector from the municipality will come to your warehouse and do the inspection. And depending on the inspection, finally, the shipment status is updated in our online system. All the shipment details are recorded through a system called ZAD. This is the federal system in UAE. So all the data for all items are recorded on the system. Next. As for Canada, Canada is a big, we receive lots of products from Canada. There are, as you can see, the statistics are increasing since 2017. Total imported items have been increased. Also, total imported containers have been increased from 2017 to 2019, and it is increasing as well till now. Next. These are the highest, most imported products. Pulses seeds, we have 10 categories, as you can see. The highest or top imported category is from pulses, seeds, nuts, and products, followed by grains, cereals, and products. Remaining are coming after, but mostly, as you can see, that pulses is the highest imported products from Canada. Next. For food-related business activities, we have permit section, which they issue either permanent or temporary permits. For permanent, these are for the established business that are already here. They want, if you want to make any company and establish your business, you need to get a permanent permit. All the permits are issued through a system called FoodWatch, and these even for smallholder enterprises, the permit is required to be obtained. For food kiosks and events, food trucks, we have also temporary permits that can be obtained also by this permit section through FoodWatch system. Next. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hessa. Really appreciate it. I know it looks like a lot of information. We understand that there is help to help guide people through these systems so that they can do business there, and look forward to talking a little bit later in the question and answer period. we will now follow this up with a short video that explains a little bit and kind of creates a bit of an excitement about what we all know when we go to the UAE. Excellent. Well, that was really reminds me, takes me back when I go to Dubai, a feeling of sensory overload of food and smells and sights and sounds. Just an exciting place to be and exciting opportunities that lie ahead for anybody who is in this food business. Next, it looks to me that the program is Mr. Faisal Jassim. He was manager of the Jebel Ali Free Zone, or Jafza as it is also known. And we will now ask Faisal to give us his presentation on the Jebel Ali Free Zone.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Norm, and thank you everybody else as well. Great to have you all here. So I'll give you a brief presentation about Jafza and the port. I think it's a nice segue in terms of what Hassa was mentioning as well in terms of the food that comes in. Obviously, from a regulatory standpoint, Dubai municipality would deal with it, but from a logistical standpoint, we would be, it would come through our touch points. So I'd like to start with the first slide, please. Perfect. So Jafza is part of a wider group or part of the Dubai Ports World company. We have more than, almost 80 ports in 40 countries in the world, with 3, as you can see there from the yellow dots, in Canada. The flagship economic zone for DP World is Jafza, the Jebel Ali Free Zone Authority. We contribute almost a third of Dubai's GDP, very proudly. And we have as well, our sister entities as well that can help in assisting trade enablement. So we have, as you can see, trade enablement solutions, Dubai Trade, which is basically our digital infrastructure. So everything can be, 99% of the services can be done online. And we have Smart Solution Logistics, which is our sister logistics entities. Now, this is very important. I mean, Norm was mentioning that, the COVID situation has really transformed the world, over the last few months. Our investment in the digital infrastructure ensured that our companies not only kept Dubai as an emirate going, but kept the country going as well, and assisted the regional countries, not only in terms of, obviously PPEs, but also in terms of food and providing them, a steady stream of nutrition regionally. From our port in Jebel Ali, from the, almost 7,200 companies that we have over here, and approximately 600 of them are in the food and beverage space as well. Next slide, please. So we're connected to more than 16,000 kilometers of road network, and we can reach anywhere in the GCC within 1 day. Now, again, this is very important. So you guys that are dealing in food and beverages, you don't need to reinvent the wheel in each country you go into. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel in Saudi and Oman and Iraq and Pakistan and India, etc. For us, you can come to Dubai. You can have it as a gateway to the wider region. We will handle, we will assist you in terms of getting you their logistics end to end. We'll assist you with licensing. We'll assist you with facilities. Whatever you need, we're here to assist you and cover you with that. Our port is the 10th largest port in the world and the only one in the top 10 that is not in the Far East. So we're quite a large port, and we're very well connected as well. So even if you need shipments to go down to Africa, to South Asia, anywhere in the world, really, we have the frequency of service that few other ports in the world have. Next slide, please. All right, so when we talk about JABSA, we have to talk about it in terms of the offering, the value-add offering that we provide. So obviously, us in JABSA, we are a licensing authority and a real estate company, so we provide you the facilities as well. But as I mentioned, our port has a very large capacity. So last year, or this year actually, we inaugurated a new terminal. So we have the capacity to handle 22 million containers. Last year, I believe we handled 15 million containers. We as well have, like I mentioned, over 7,500 companies in JABSA, but we also have other economic zones as well. So in total, we have approximately more than 9,000 companies from our 4 economic zones. And we did approximately $100 billion of trade last year. Now, again, in terms of logistics, this is very important. We can provide end-to-end logistical solutions. So dry storage, cool storage, ambient storage, cross-stuffing, whatever you need can be provided from a logistical point of view. Again, we have our sister logistics entity that can assist you with that. I know I'm not supposed to say this, but even for food and beverage companies, don't think that you need to come in here and reinvent the wheel. I mean, I have revenue targets in order to meet by, offering you larger facilities because it will help me lease out more and make more. However, I do want companies to stay in the long term. So I always advise companies in the beginning to really come very small. So either take a workstation, either take a small office, and then outsource all your logistics to a logistical company. There's no need for you to take on a warehouse and no need for you to take on, hire a fleet of vehicles, an army of staff, etc. To dip your toes in the water, come in and outsource your logistics. Next slide, please. So the upside down F, the monkey wrench that you see there is the Jebel Ali port. The Jebel Ali port is obviously around that area as well. And we have the Al Maktoum International Airport to the south of us. All that area is custom bounded. That means you have access to port, you have access to the seaport, you have access to the road port by the 2 major highways, and you have access to the airport as well, all within a custom bounded area. There's no model that exists like this in the world. So let me put things in perspective. A few years ago, Hurricane Matthew devastated the Caribbean. We got a call from the United Nations to assist with aid. From phone call to aid shipment took 24 hours. The reason is because this model exists. Because it's all within a custom bounded area, that means you don't need to clear customs. That means you don't need to, clear the documents, etc. All that can be utilized, and it's immediately can be shipped out, which is why we are a center or a hub of food in the region. I mean, it was mentioned that we are the 3rd largest food exporter in the world. It's because of this machine that exists. Even Hassan, when she was mentioning the major, volumes of food and beverages in terms of pulses and in terms of greens, I can guarantee you we do not eat that many pulses and we do not consume that much fiber. It's a lot of it, majority of it is for re-export. Next slide, please. So again, in terms of JABSA, we have, and again, it's across Dubai, we have what's called a one-stop shop model. So all relevant government departments and ministries have a representation in JABSA physically in terms of an office and people sitting here. But again, as I mentioned, 99% of the services can be done online, so you don't need to physically visit the office. You guys sitting wherever you are in Canada can renew your trade license, can clear your customs, can pay your electricity bills, water bills, etc. We're working on a very interesting project as well with Dubai Municipality, whereby even we're looking at automating permits for foods as well online. So again, it's a very interesting it's a very interesting proposal that we provide to our clients. We really want to make it easier for clients. This was especially true during the pandemic, where the investment we made in the digital and soft infrastructure was a lifesaver for many, many companies. Next slide, please. Now, I just want to showcase the food and beverage capabilities that we have. Next slide, please. So again, in terms of JABSA, we've surged in terms of food and beverages by 24%, as you can imagine. Regardless of whatever the economic situation is around the world, people need to eat, people need to drink. I mean, it's just a necessity of life. Our food and beverage, we have different clusters in JABSA, or different areas where we designate it from an environmental health and safety perspective. So our agricultural or our food and beverage cluster is almost 1.5 million square meters. So again, we wouldn't want to put, for example, a chemicals company next to a food company. We want to ensure the highest quality and highest standards for that. In terms of growth, it has been fantastic for us. We have a variety of facilities. We have warehouses of various sizes. We have offices, and again, we have as well logistical facilities that we can offer. So we have almost 600 companies from 70 countries around the world that are dealing in the space. Next slide, please. Perfect. So in terms of food and beverage, I mean, when it comes down to brass tacks, this is what we deal in. These are some of the biggest players that we have here in terms of oil, in terms of, you know, oil seed processing, tea processing. So just a fun fact, we have the second largest tea factory in the world. It was the largest until very recently. So Lipton, for example, all of Lipton's tea to New Zealand and Australia is manufactured here in Jabsa. The sugar refinery, we have the largest standalone sugar refinery in the world, Al Khalid Sugar. So it brings in raw sugar from the likes of Brazil, processes them, and then, you know, feeds countries with them. Grain processing as well, meat processing, you know, bottling companies. We have quite a few bottling factories here, food processing, chocolate manufacturing. I mean, we have the likes of Mars and Nestle as well over here. So, you know, we always get our sugar fix. Next slide, please. All right, in terms of grains, I mean, it is our largest, you know, it is our largest commodity in terms of dealing with it. We do have the infrastructure to handle it in terms of containerized, you know, movement, in terms of break bulk, in terms of storage facilities, you know, in terms of whatever needs to be done, we can do it here. From first mile to last mile delivery can be done through us. Again, this is very important. So when a client comes to us, they need to know that the capabilities are there. Even you know, such a minute detail that, you know, people might not consider, we also take into account. So I was dealing with a grain company who wanted to come to Jebel Ali. One of the reasons is because our port is a deep water port. So it's, I think, a draft of 17 or 18 meters. So that means that the large container ships or the large break bulk ships can come in, which means that, you know, he can welcome those large ships as opposed to other regional ports where their draft is like 10 meters. So again, on a per unit cost basis, it does, those, you know, cents and nickels do add up to his bottom line. So again, it's that level of detail which we thought about and we're trying to accommodate. Next slide, please. All right, just some fun facts about the trade figures between Canada and Jabsa. So our trade figures are approximately $1.8 billion last year. The major imports obviously are, you know, spare parts and vehicles, but the second largest is foodstuff. So we're very big on that. As you can see as well, you know, the second largest export is foodstuff as well. So we are a re-export hub to the wider region. Next slide, please. So it's been increasing gradually over time in terms of our trade volume. We have almost 124 Canadian companies very proudly here in Jabsa, and we hope to welcome more of them hopefully after this webinar. Just, you know, reiterating Hassa's point as well, as you can see, lentils is some of the largest commodities, the third largest commodity that we deal with in Jabsa in terms of trade figure. Next slide, please. We have as well a very interesting project called Project, you know, it's a bridge project. So the first one that we have is a Project India Bridge. So as DP World, we are the second largest FDI investor in India. We handle almost 25% of India's trade through our 6 ports, 13 inland facilities and 2 logistical companies. We have a dedicated team over there, and we can provide first up to last mile logistics to and from UAE and to and from India. So again, if anybody of you are interested in India, please let me know. I'll be happy to introduce you to the team on the ground, and we can provide, you know, a holistic, integrated trade enablement solution. Next slide, please. Again, as DP World, I mean, these are some of the places that we go to. We, as I mentioned, we're connected to more than 150 ports and do more than 80 weekly services, you know, a week. This is very important. So let's say you're dealing in, you know, especially in food and beverage, which is, you know, a lot of it is perishable. You want to go to a port, or you want to be in a facility whereby the frequency of service is there because you need to deliver your food as soon as possible where it needs to go. Other regional ports might do, you know, because of lack of volume, will do obviously less frequent services on a weekly basis. We do not have that problem. It took us 40 years to build that capacity. It's not easily, you know, achievable overnight. So that's something we really work on, and we're trying to enhance even further and trying to really string the multiple pearls that we have around the world, or our ports around the world, in order to provide better enablement solutions. Next slide, please. And I am done with my presentation. My contact details are there. I will have to jump off. I do apologize. I have another meeting to run to. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to reach out to me or the lovely people on the panel. We're all happy to help.
Thank you very much, Faisal. Very, very informative. First class. Even better than first class. You're in a class of its own when you look at how this logistics infrastructure was so well coordinated, planned, and put in place. So thank you very much. We look forward to communicating with you in the future as we look to bring Canadian companies into the Jebel Ali Free Zone. I'm glad you're there to help.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Good. Next, we will have Mr. Mohammed, who is a senior manager with the Dubai Multi-Commodity Center Authority, also known as DMCC, who will explain a little bit about the programs and services that they offer.
Thank you, Norm. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. A warm welcome from DMCC. I'll be happy to give you through the presentation and to order to explain who we are, what we do, and what we have done so far. Also, that will be happy to give you much more wider understanding information about DMCC. Next. So basically, we are government of Dubai, has a decade established in Dubai as a global gateway for commodities and trade. The DMCC has been formed in 2002. It's a free zone regulator as well as trade facilitator. Next. Part of the pandemic situations that we have tried to give much more business support whenever it comes to the business setup for the company registration, that where we offer 50% discounts and then 30% discount for the company license renewal, and these type of registration and the 50% discount that goes in flexible payment and installment options, and all what you have to do that is sitting in your home or from your office, that where we'll be more than happy to assist you with the entire setup, that do the entire complete registration for your company. We can be able to do it digitally and online. Next, please. Next. So part of the connections that when you try to set up a company in DMCC, as my colleague Faisal will explain, we're not kind of people that will help you to service your company and get up to the license matter and then shake your hand, wish you all the best. We don't do that. We try to connect you with different kind of business connections, or giving you much more package and much more offers in order to accelerate your company or your business connectivity in UAE in Dubai. For example, we connect you with different international partners that where we have strategic partners with them, could be globally or could be locally in UAE Dubai. We give you access to different magazine publications, knowledge series. What we do is we help you with different types of knowledge series that happening indoor in DMCC itself, with various type of activities as well as different sectors. Business incubators, we have 3 types of business incubators that are locating in DMCC. For example, Astro Labs, one of the well-known Google certified hub tech, where over 140 startups are connected with Astro Labs. It's a co-working space and help driven a lot of success stories. After that comes NOC. NOC is kind of well-known and co-working space system. We're connecting different kind of platforms for companies to come and plug and go their business. We provide also different kind of active networking programs. Business consults, we have in DMCC Swiss Business Council, we got Turkish Business Council, we have AmCham. All of these almost as a DMCC management are in line or in contact with them almost on a daily basis, where we discuss an opportunity how we can be able to help grow our existing members. So could be opportunity for Canadian members when they decide to come to DMCC, that give them a channel or opportunity to get to grow to a different country or different market. Industry clubs, we got food and energy, food and agri clubs, and we have energy clubs, and we got maritime clubs. All these, it's a business clubs. It's an idea behind it is to connect all the relative activities under one roof, under one area, where be able to discuss the opportunity and collect the update on that sectors. Next, please. I would like to describe this slide by saying we are 2 million square meter development that surrounding 68 towers, 17,500 members, and 170 represent themselves in DMCC. 64,000 people have been sponsored by DMCC. The community itself, that surrounding 100,000 people, That kind of community giving them access to 600 retail outlets, DMCC contribute to Dubai 10% on GDP growth. Next, please. And this slide that will describe the business sectors, where you can be able to see that food and agro up to 8%, but we have that kind of wider connections whenever it comes to different sectors, as well as different services or activities. We got professional services, technology and telecom, metals and minerals. We got shipping, logistics. So it's a wider range and wider playing that happening in DMCC. Next, please. Talking about the 170 countries that they represent themselves in DMCC as per their country origin, as you can see that India is having the majority cut, which is 29%, and then we got the UK 22%, but also we have United Arab Emirates companies that would desire to come to register themselves in DMCC 14%, but we have also Egypt 6%, Lebanon 6%, British Virgin Islands we got 5%, as well as United States of America 5%, France 5%, Pakistan 5%, and also Canada 4%. It's good to be in the top 10 rather than not to be in the list. So Canada is still having considered DMCC as a preferred destination. So this is a great initiative, and we look forward to increase that kind of number. Next, please. Our relationship between DMCC and Canada that shows we have 411 Canadian members, and we have 770 Canadian employees has been sponsored under DMCC. And the top sectors of these Canadian members in DMCC are focused into technology, telecom, precious metals, as well as professional services, energies. Some of the brands that what we have them, we have a wider range whenever it comes to 411, but we would encourage to get that number much more bigger than 400. Next, please. Our relationship between food and agro, we have around 1,681 member companies that focus into food and beverage raw materials. And the advantage, once you decide to come to DMCC, you will get the service platforms for comes in tea and coffee, as well as ecosystem that related to tea and coffee. My colleague Faisal for the past presentation, that in DMCC offer a kind of solution. So if you decide to come to DMCC, you will have direct access to Jabal Ali to register your company and have and lease a warehouse for a yearly basis, where that kind of connection is showing you the connectivity that once you are in DMCC, you will be eligible to approach different free zone to use their warehouse facility, and that will help for the import and export for your products. Some of the top brands that what we have them in DMCC. Next, please. Some of the international world's leading brands that what we have them also in DMCC. I'll give it a second before I say next for you just to have a look and to understand the brands that we got. Next, please. DMCC platforms. Commodities trade has been one of the key factors of success in DMCC. For example, 2005, we have announced establishing DMCC Tea Center in order to focus into tea trading hub. Today, DMCC Tea Center positioning UAE to be the largest re-export of tea. That kind of handling 45 to 50 million kilos whenever it passes through the DMCC Tea Center. From that experience, we have learned to focus into coffee center, and we managed to establish in 2019 having one kind of unique facility with 7,500 square meter indoor facility that helping or connecting coffee traders, coffee consumers, coffee players, coffee end users, coffee farmers to be dealing or having that kind of connections under one roof. And that by that offering wider range of services that comes for storage, delivery of coffee, processing of coffee, labeling, packaging. In addition, providing a certified barista training courses. In addition to that, we have different kind of platforms for the diamond exchange, The building that I'm sitting in right now, I'm talking to you, it's called Almas Tower, which is mean diamond. Almas mean diamond in Arabic, and that handling around 29 billion US dollars of trading in volumes. Next, please. Again, this is somehow related to what I just explained about the gold. That will explain that we're into gold volumes and handling around 40 billion of US dollars, diamonds, 29 billions. That's putting us to be the third top three into diamond industry. It is Dubai, DMCC, the tea centers, and agro as well, and coffee. That kind of connection show you that we are again playing different kind of wider connections with different activities, with different platforms. Next, please. The awards and recognition that we in 2019 we had to be the best free zone, and that's putting us to say that we are 5 consecutive years. That comes in terms of SMEs as well as overall, as well as expansion and different kind of platforms. Next, please. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the presentation. It was honored to be here with you today. Back to you, Noah.
Great, thank you very much, Mohammed. Very, very interesting. A great deal of infrastructure, networking that you can help provide people so that they can comfortably be confident that they can set up a business in Dubai and move through the growth stages that they need. I think a very, very interesting approach. Thank you very much for your presentation. Next, we will have Mr. Waleed Mahoon, who is the manager at investment promotion for Dubai FDI. Waleed will give us a bit of a presentation on the Dubai advantage.
Thank you, Norm. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen who are based in Canada. Good evening to all my colleagues here in Dubai. It's given me truly a great pleasure to be part of this webinar to deliver the Dubai Advantage presentation. Next slide, please. Dubai has a diversity economy, as shown on the screen. The contribution of the total GDP as of 2018, the majority goes to whole and retail trade, as take a contribution of 26.4%, following by the storage and transportation. Next slide, please. Dubai occupied a very unique and strategic location in the world. Within 7-hour flights, you are reached to 2.4 billion consumer, direct market in the Middle East, India, and subcontinent, and East Asia. Giving an example of the air flight connectivity between Dubai and India, which has over 1,600 flights a week, which make the ease of the business between the two countries. The business dealer can close the deal within the same day. Therefore, Dubai became a hub for the majority of the international companies to operate their offices directly from Dubai and serving the entire MENA region. Next slide, please. As my colleague Jassim from Jafza, he mentioned about Jabal Ali Free Zone and Jabal Ali Port. As of 2018, the capacity of Jabal Ali Port reached 19.3 tons billion. Next slide, please. Continue talking about the connectivity of Dubai. 140 airlines directly connected from Dubai to 260 destinations. Bearing in mind, this is all international flight, which is operating directly from Dubai airports. Talking about our official carrier, Emirates Airline, which is operated to more than 170 destinations within direct flight. Additional to that, plus 8,000 weekly flights through the Dubai airports. Next slide, please. We are gearing up to host the biggest World Expo in the world, which will take place on 2021, which has been postponed due to current crisis affected all the world. It is the first time Expo happening on the region. The theme is Connecting Mind, Creating Futures. 25 million visitors expected to visit the Expo 2020. 70% of them are international based. Next slide, please. Talking about the main topic of today's webinar, the agriculture business in Dubai. The UAE and Dubai has made outstanding effort over the past decade to build the agri sector that is better able to contribute to food diversity. As of 2017, can you please move to next slide? 1,000 greenhouse and 64,900 acres of organic farm in the UAE, 18.8 billion value of halal food industry, 1 billion invested for the food and beverage logistics and the food security. Next slide, please. The national security for food security, the strategy of 2051 has defined the element of national food basket for 3 main pillars. And this strategy is aimed to achieve the market of the UAE world based on Global Food Security Index by 2025 and develop comprehensive national system based on enabling sustainable food, as well food safety and nutrition and agribusiness trade facilitation. By launching the National Food Security Strategy 2025, the UAE as a government aim to achieve zero hunger by ensuring access to safe, nutrition, and sufficient food all over the year. Next slide, please. Talking about the food research and platform R&D, it's first in the region aimed to creating a knowledge database for the all practical research carried out. And this platform will be include 8 thematics, as it shows on the screen: agriculture, biotechnology, farm lot, agri supply chain technology, novel farming, and so on. Additional to that, talking about one major exhibitions happening in Dubai every year, Gulf Food. Dubai is a house for one of the world's largest annual food trade exhibition. Next year will be the 25th edition, which will take place from 21st till 25th February. It's attract more than 90,000 exhibitors and showcase the wide range of products in the food supply and different all over the world. Next slide. Next slide, please. By this slide, I would like to thank everyone today on this program. I would like to thank our stakeholders for their continuous support, DMCC, JABSA, Dubai Municipality, and all my colleagues from Mr. Alhalton, Norm, and as well Diana and her team. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward for any questions.
Great, thank you very much, Waleed. It is now time for people to jot down their questions if they have any. And thanks again to all the presenters. It was very informative. I think we can see that Dubai, the UAE are key hubs to a large part of the world to grow in the food sector. As Al mentioned initially, about 2.4 billion people, of which currently are not providing or growing or having enough food to feed those 2.4 billion people. So huge opportunities abound for those who are looking to want to be part of this exciting opportunity. One question I just wanted to get, maybe Al can give a bit of an update on the current situation regarding COVID? Is there an isolation period if people go to the UAE right now? I know it's a bit of a moving target. I think the UAE has done fairly well as far as controlling their situation there. But and I know that a good friend of mine, Khaldun Keilani, has recently been there and come back and is healthy. But I just wanted to see if somebody had some comments to add to that in case people want to go there and explore these opportunities.
Sure, Norm, thank you. The regime to come into Dubai right now is that anyone traveling needs to have a PCR test, COVID test, that's the nasal swab, prior to coming into Dubai. It has to be not greater than 96 hours prior to travel, and also must have COVID insurance. Now, just as a sidebar comment, Emirates Airlines does offer complimentary COVID insurance for a traveler up to 30 days. When you arrive in Dubai, you have the certification document from the healthcare provider in Canada that has given you the COVID test and an attestation of your insurance document. If it's not Emirates, then we will certainly accept you coming into Dubai without any further hassle. Of course, if you arrive without if you're able to get on an aircraft without the COVID test, they certainly will have you do a test when you arrive. There is no quarantine requirement. When you leave Dubai as well, you will need a COVID test prior to leaving Dubai as well. But there's no quarantine like going into Canada. I know I've been wanting to get home for quite some time. I'm a Canadian as well, and I've been wanting to get home to see family. And unfortunately, Theresa Tam and Justin Trudeau have a 14-day quarantine at the moment. I'm hoping that will be off before Christmas so I can go home and visit some family. So there you go.
Great, Al. Thank you very much. Good. I also wanted to address, I think when I first went to Dubai, there was a number of concerns, and I think they're basically misconceptions about two things. One is safety, and the other is gender. And it was a very pleasant surprise to me as to how safe the UAE is and how accepting it is of women in business. And so I don't know if, I wish maybe Diana could even comment on that, but I think if we do have women who are interested in going there, there's lots of support. There's lots of people who can talk to you before you go. It's not something you need to be afraid of. In fact, I think it is one of the most accepting and multicultural places in the world.
Well, if Diana isn't going to speak to it, I'll certainly attest to that. Women are highly revered here in the UAE, and there's a significant number of women in business at the leadership of many private corporations here. So there's absolutely no issue whatsoever. The UAE is...
And Al, excuse me, and Norm, you're absolutely right. And we have a strong women's business community here. So I'm not sure if you can see my screen because I had some trouble with the screen, but I am on. And yes, you're absolutely right.
Good. Thank you. In our questions, there's a question for JAFSA and DMCC. And the question is, can you tell me how you support SMEs willing to operate from Dubai? And I know some of that was in the presentation, but perhaps we can specifically talk a little bit about that. Mohammed?
Yes, that's great. Whenever it comes to that type of supporting SMEs or entrepreneurs, as mentioned that earlier during the presentation, that we have a wider range of offers and services by offering a much more cheaper of plug and connect SMEs. We do have a different type of incubators where they can be able, more than happy to apply and register to be under that kind of territory to register themselves, and also giving much more wider of infrastructure in order to connect their business with DMCC, as well as different incubators such as Astor Labs, NOC, and we have Salat hub connectivity. So basically, these type of SMEs that they can be able to go for a small desk that including a smart device, and start connecting to be registered legally in Dubai and connected with, for example, Astor Labs, and then the environment that they are play with, it will help them to get to grow and to get to meet new people. And the infrastructure, the way it be designed for DMCC, it's helping these SMEs to be injected with different webinars, different knowledge series, as well as different events.
Great, thank you. A question that I had, and I know a good contact, a good friend of mine utilizes the tea processing center. And is there, besides coffee, I think there was a misconception that companies need to set up a whole new processing facility in Dubai, but I think there's a number of what we would call toll processors who can help companies do their processing in Dubai, if at least to get started until they can establish themselves in the marketplace. So is there help in helping people finding somebody who can work with them to make their product in the UAE?
Well, when it comes to DMCC, we provide different type of packages for the companies, and they decide to come once they decide to come to DMCC. Yes, we have different type of international partners. We have different type of business associate that we get in touch with. Maybe they can be helped to connect it and give them much more options to work with or to play with. But the idea, what I'm trying to say is, the idea behind it is, once you try to set up in a light way, it will be easy to get connected with different type of agents. That's what I would suggest and recommend to go for.
Very good. Thank you, Mohammed. A question, do companies use these free zones to set up vertical farming for local consumption, or is it better to set up onshore?
It depends on the type of the activity. It depends on the type of company. But we're talking about food and agro. I think the largest type of number of companies, that's what we have them in DMCC. So we offer them as 100% for foreign ownership, and that kind of key benefits for them to have zero taxation and operate up to 50 years with zero income tax. And that kind of benefits, it will be much more useful or much more preferable option for, as a Canadian, foreigners to come and have companies set up with 100% for ownership.
Good, thank you. Maybe there's a question for Hessa. What are the import documents required for cargo that's for re-export? And what documents are therefore needed for re-export? Finally, can the imported cargo only be exported after processing, or can it be re-exported as is? So is there requirements to add some value or do something with it in the UAE before it's re-exported?
For the import shipments, we have three types of import. First is import for local market. Can you hear me? Second is import for re-export. And there are some consignments that are partially sold here locally and partially is for re-export. So depending on the shipment type, the documents vary. For import for re-export, we require packing list, health certificate, is not mandatory, but it can come. Invoice, any document that comes with the shipment itself. As Dubai municipality, we also issue export health certificate. So if they are planning to re-export from Dubai, a health certificate will be issued from Dubai municipality, which is the local authority. So these are the only documents for re-export. We don't do full inspection for re-export documents unless it is sold here in UAE for local sale. In that case, full inspection is done and full document checking is done. So yeah, and samples are taken for lab tests. But for import, for export shipments, we don't require much documents and sampling.
Great, thanks.
I hope that answers the question.
Another question is, when it comes to food and agro products, traceability is a major technology used to assure food safety. How is Dubai regulating, enabling traceability on all manufactured, imported, exported, and locally distributed products? So
yes.
Is there anybody that can, maybe Hassa, you can address
yes.
that?
As I mentioned earlier, we have a service called item registration, which means listing the product in our database. So any product that comes through Dubai port, it needs to be registered, and it has a barcode. Either it is international barcode or Dubai municipality issues DM barcode for local products, or those products that doesn't have any barcode. So this helps to trace the products that are coming from outside. In case there is any problem with the product, we can recall from the market. We know where these products are distributed. Everything is monitored through a system. The release type, the production expiry date, how much quantity is imported, when we can extract that data up to 10 years ago or more than 10 years. So we have a full set of database for all the imported products coming from all countries. It helps with the traceability.
Great, thanks a lot, Hassa. I know that a number of the retail outlets or hypermarkets are looking to implement blockchain technology in some of the Middle East, as you know, that there's been some quality assurance or some potential mislabeling of commodities such as olive oil, honey, and as I mentioned before, a good contact of mine, Khaldun, has been working on that technology, and if people are interested in learning more about that, there may be an opportunity to gather some more of that information from him. You can either connect with me or Al, or we can ensure that you get that so that you understand how you want to be fit for where the market is going. Is there any other questions or comments?
Hi, Norm. There is a question from Rahim on the question area. The question being, do companies use the free zones to vertical farming for local consumption, or is it better to set up on shore? I'd like to perhaps address that one because I am very much involved with vertical farming. There are a number of ways to do it. The vertical farming side of it would require your market, of course, would be domestic to start with, whether it's in the food service industry, the HORCA side, with the grocery chains and what have you. In that respect, it would be much better to be on shore as opposed to being within the free zone. However, if you're looking to augment that business with a large percentage of export, throughout the region, whether it's within the GCC or even beyond, then I would highly recommend a free zone for you to set up in. And if you are interested in talking about vertical farming, please do let me know. I've done a fair bit of research on it. I've worked with the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, excuse me, and other ministries on this technology.
Great, thanks, Al. I don't know who's all on the call, but I do know that there's some real interesting aquaculture technology that has been developed where we can produce fish and vegetables in the same facility. That some of the leading scientists for doing that are right here in Canada, and they're being sought after globally. So we'll maybe connect you with some of that, Al, too, if there's people who are interested in adopting or looking at some of that technology.
Sure, Norm. That would be wonderful. For example, there is a project that's going ahead with a U.S. firm called Crop One. They have a facilities going into one of our other jurisdictions here called Dubai South, and they will be supplying leafy greens as examples to Expo as well as to Emirates Airlines. That project is just getting its feet on the ground, and it's just one of many that are being built. Aero Farms out of New Jersey has set up a facility in the Abu Dhabi. Badia Farms has set something up. There's several organizations setting up vertical farms. I've got several others that are of interest that have come into us just recently that we're talking to, and are all very excited about what Dubai has to offer, what the UAE has to offer, and how they can participate in this ecosystem.
I did have a bit of a question, Al. I know it's been a bit of a, some people have been wondering about work permits and business permits and to get there. And can anybody comment on how that process works? So if you were to come and explore or want to be an entrepreneur there, what is required as far as what I would call documentation to be there?
Let me throw that question over to my colleague, Waleed. You're still on the program, I trust, Waleed? Are you there, Waleed? Okay. Mohammed, address that?
Now he's there.
Oh, is he there?
He's there.
No, he's
I
not.
can't hear you, Waleed.
No, I don't know where he is. Maybe Mohammed might.
وليد ما نسمعك وليد.
There you are,
Mike.
Waleed.
Mike.
Your mic is working now, Waleed.
You'll have to begin. Try again, Waleed.
Right. Okay. I'll go for that. It's like while Waleed get that. Okay. While Waleed try to fix the audio. When I want to say that for any kind of Canadian decide to come to Dubai to register themselves, that could be opportunity to set up his company as 100% for ownership. They are pretty much simple documents that we would require from them. Usually that we ask for the passport copy, and then we create a board resolution as well as memorandum of article association in order to get that kind of connected. And also a page summary that describing what kind of activity, what kind of setup that he would like to go, what kind of business profile that he has made it over. During that, what we do is all of that kind of, when I just explained, has been moved digitally, where that we take it under different kind of evaluation process. We go through the different due diligence, compliance, screen check. Once that there, it will be easy to come back and advise him with the proper activity that in line with him. After that, we help him with the setup, and we do everything online. Ended up having the license with him legally to be operated.
Very good. Thank you. Waleed, do you have anything to add? I'm not sure if you're live with us or we can see you talk, but for some reason you seem to be muted. Are you there, Waleed? I'm not sure he can hear us.
No, he's not able to talk to us.
Yeah, okay. Any other kind of closing questions or comments? We're coming to the wrapping up part of this. I guess
I see a question on here, Norm. I don't know if it's been answered yet about traceability.
yeah, I think it has.
Okay. I think then we've covered all the questions.
I think we have, and I guess my comment to those who are looking at investing or growing their business in the Middle East is to go and really gather more information, explore, and this is perhaps just a start. There's many opportunities there. It would be good to be able to, in the future, travel there a little more freely, to meet with people, to see the marketplace as it is. And I think we've got a number of people that can help you do that, whether it's the people who have been involved in sponsoring this program. There's a number of consultants who can help connect you to the places you need to go. It's always a bit of a, an unusual experience to go to new markets, particularly halfway around the world from Canada. But I think you'll really find it very enjoyable. It's a great learning process. The people are amazing. They're very helpful. You will really fall in love with the place once you go there, and so will your business. And so with that,
Norm, if I may interject for a moment, one thing that we haven't spoken about here as of yet, Canada and the Department of Agriculture has a great presence here. Tommy Couture is the ag guy in Dubai. You can reach Tommy at tommy.couture@international.gc.ca. He and his colleague Rania Hassan certainly are two very capable people to help Canadian companies with their exports and movement towards the UAE. Additionally, the provincial departments or ministries of agriculture certainly are there to help. I know Norm was, of course, formerly with the Alberta government. He may be able to tell you who his replacement is. If you're from Ontario, I know Arthur Shaw, who is with the Ontario Ministry of Food. I'm sorry, Arthur, if you're still on the line here, I can't remember the name of the ministry, but they're down in Guelph, Ontario. And I'm certain that many of the other provincial jurisdictions have folks as well to help you.
Yeah, and I think there's help depending where you're from, but reach out to your province, reach out to the international trade people. There may be dollars to help you do your exploratory missions, to go to trade shows, those kind of things. And once you get there, there's help on the ground to connect you to people who may be, depending on what your needs are. And, the organizations who we have talked to here, the Canadian Business Councils, the CUBC, and even ALA can even help you every once in a while. I think that's what we're here for. And, you know, that's where the name Janssen Connects come in, is because we can connect you to the people that you need so that you can get your business up and running and moving and growing to the standard and to meet your business plan.
What's your email address, Norm?
It is normjansen@telus.net. So normjanssen@telus.net. So I would now like to introduce Beth Hinchfield, who will wrap up our session for today. Beth is with the Canada UAE Business Council. She's the newly appointed president of the Canada UAE Business Council.
Thank you, Norm. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Great. So hello, everyone. My name is Beth Hirschfeld, and as Norm mentioned, I am the president of the Canada UAE Business Council. I am also based here in Dubai, and so perhaps it might be helpful to share a few thoughts on Norm's question around women in business in the UAE, just to echo Al and Diana's comments about the treatment of women here in business. I have found great access to opportunities, have been treated with the utmost respect, and have had a very positive professional experience here. So just want to make sure that people in Canada are aware that women in business have very, very good experiences here in the region. I'll shift over to closing out the session to say that today was a great example of how Dubai and the UAE have shown tremendous leadership in the area of food and agriculture. For a country that relies heavily on food imports to support 80 to 90% of local demand, the UAE has been strategic and utterly committed to sourcing and securing the food it needs for its residents and its citizens and its neighboring countries. So not only is it the world's third largest food exporter, but the way it has handled the pandemic is just a shining example of their hard work. As Faisal Jassim outlined earlier today, their investments into digital infrastructure, online systems, and other logistics, both this year and previously, have yielded incredible bounty. When the pandemic hit here, you could see worldwide consumer panic, which often led to hoarding as people worried that there wouldn't be enough supply. But that simply wasn't the case here in the UAE. Grocery store shelves stayed stocked, people remained calm, and routines remained as close to normal as possible because the country was prepared and proactive in ensuring people had access to what they needed. And even beyond taking care of the people within their own country, they were able to assist other countries in securing what they needed as well. Moving forward, as we heard today, Dubai and the UAE have an ambitious vision and serious goals, which provides lots of opportunities for Canadian companies. We hope that you found today's presentations and the follow-up Q&A to be helpful and give you plenty of food for thought, and about the business opportunities available and some advice on how to further explore and pursue these opportunities. As you think about these next steps, and as Norm and Al just talked about, please know that there are lots of people available to support you in exploring that and developing into the region. The 4 business councils, the CBC Dubai, CBC Abu Dhabi, the CABC, and the Canada UAE Business Council work with individual companies to help them understand regional opportunities, develop relationships, and build brand awareness in the region. Our councils are designed to serve different types of companies and offer different services. So whatever type of company you are, there is a council that can be a good fit. If you talk with any one of us, we will be able to point you in the right direction of where to go. In addition, Dubai FDI and its team of advisors, as well as today's speakers and the Canadian Trade Commissioner Services, can also be superb resources, offering advice and support as you explore opportunities in the region and how you might embrace them. We encourage you to reach out to any of us after the session for more information, and we look forward to keeping in touch. Finally, I'd like to say a few thank yous. First, to today's speakers and our moderator for their excellent presentations and insights. Our moderator, Norm Jansen, who is from Jansen Connects, Al Hinton from FDI, Ms. Hassa Al-Sumati from Dubai Municipality, Mr. Faisal Jassim from JAFSA, Mr. Mohammed from DMCC, and Mr. Waleed Marhoon from Dubai FDI. And of course, a special shout out to CBC Dubai and Al Hinton for all of their work in organizing and bringing all of this together today for such an insightful and useful session. Finally, a huge thank you to all of you for joining today. It is wonderful to think that you are interested in this opportunity, and we really look forward to keeping in touch. So please, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Goodbye.